Happy Monday, everybody. We're just going to hang out a couple more minutes and let some more folks join. We'll get started in a couple minutes. Okay, so there's a couple folks I haven't met in here today. Welcome to our Ignite.
Hello.
Jennifer. So we are going to get started how we always do a little bit of a check-in with everybody, see how our lead gen went today, how our weekends went, and what's going on in our business, in particular with our phone calls, contacts, home previews, and the like. Daniel, can you get us started off today? How are things going with you?
Good. I mentioned last week about going through my entire sphere. Well, between yesterday and to this morning, I reconnected with 5 different people on Facebook, was able to actually chat with 4 of them through Messenger and get some information and add them to the database. So that was good.
Yeah, fantastic. It's always nice when you reach out to folks and you get that response, that's great. Manny, are you available today to chime in and unmute? I know sometimes he's not, so that's okay. Okay, that's all right. We'll move on. Is it Bryn? Bryn, are you available to unmute today? All right, well, that's all right. If you get a chance, just throw it up in the chat there if you're able. Jennifer, how about you? How are things going in your business?
I think I'm just I was with Coldwell Banker for 6 months and
Okay.
I just started here, so I'm kind of new at everything. But actually, this afternoon I'm meeting with one of my friends that I used to work with. Hopefully, she will be my soon client to my house.
Awesome, fantastic. Well, welcome to Ignite. Are you going to be attending the PC classes as well?
I'm having classes from Monday to Thursday from 1 to 3.
Great.
Oh yeah.
Awesome, fantastic. And are you in the Portland Market Center? Are you at a
Sunset
port?
Corridor. Sunset
Sunset
Corridor.
Corridor. Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Hillsborough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
welcome. Okay,
Thank you.
I see. Thank you, Bryn. And Jenna, how are things going with you? If you're available, that is, Jenna. I know sometimes folks are.
Hi, no worries. Sorry, too many screens to toggle through. So far so good. I also just joined Sunset Corridor now
Welcome.
officially 1 month ago. So before that I was with More Realty. So yeah, it's been good. I'm with the PPG, so Matthew Clays, and I have great support behind me, and I've been doing open houses every weekend. So far so good.
Fantastic. It's great to have you. Jameson, I will be sticking around for another 10 minutes or so. Sometimes we have folks joining late, so I'll let them in as they come in. If we have some folks arriving late. So I'm going to introduce you all to our instructor for today. For Capture More Leads. He is our market center leader out of the Salem Market Center. Jameson is a third-generation realtor, has 26 years of experience in the real estate industry. Throughout his career, he's had direct involvement or oversight in over 100,000 real estate transactions. Is an incredible wealth of information for us. His experience includes residential, commercial, sales, land development, foreclosures, title, escrow, and lending. Jameson has a learning-based mindset and is excited to share his experiences and help agents grow. When he isn't working, Jameson enjoys spending time outdoors, hiking, fishing, and traveling. And so I will turn things over to him for Capture More Leads. Hey, Jameson.
Hey, thanks, man. Appreciate it. How's everyone doing today?
Oh, I'm doing great.
Awesome. That's good. So today we're covering the topic of capturing more leads. Let me share my screen here. There we go. All right, can everyone see that? Cool, thanks, man. All right. So far in Ignite, you've been making contact with your sphere, those people that you know, and getting referrals and asking them for people that they know. In this session, you'll discover other sources of leads. There's lots of methods for meeting new people, getting to know them, and having them get to know you. You're going to hear it over and over and over again. The more leads, the better, and the better quality leads convert to better contacts. So why do we say the more leads, the better? It's real simple. More leads equals more business, right? So the more leads you've got in your database, the more people that you're touching, constantly throughout the year, the better that you're going to do. Okay, so real quickly, I'm on page 2 of your workbook. If you're wanting to follow along, start thinking about what you're going to learn today. Let's consider what questions we'd have and what we'd like to learn more about, right? So please take a minute and tell me, if you would, what questions you're hoping will be answered today. Anyone got anything? All right. You love people, but at the same time, you haven't learned to love hunting for them. This is about learning to love lead generation. The hunt for people who are able, ready, and willing to buy or sell real estate now or soon. In this session, you're going to learn more sources for leads so that you're never going to run out, and you're going to learn to love hunting. The objectives for today are to, number 1, gain a deeper understanding of how to create and disseminate lead generating messages. And number 2, be able to expand your referral strategies. By the end of this session, you should choose your top 4 lead generation sources and start laying out strategies and timelines to generate more leads from those sources. So we've said all along that Keller Williams is built on models and systems. So naturally, there's a simple system for capturing more leads. It's a system that you're going to find works, right? It's always important to keep in mind that your number one job is to find ways of getting in the path of motivated buyers and sellers. Gary Keller tells us this in Shift. It's always smart to be reminded of our number one job as real estate agents. It's lead generations, because without leads, we don't have any sales. Therefore, there's no business. And that therefore makes us in the business of lead generation. And because leads are everywhere, we need to be hyper aware of that. Okay, we're moving on to page 3 of your workbook. If you're following along, lead generation should always be purposeful and intentional. So this slide depicts a system that will help you make your lead generation more purposeful. We call this the message and method of your lead generation, or the 2 M's. It's all about having a message and using a method to drive that message to a desired audience. Now, the message must, number 1, match your market, and number 2, make an offer for an immediate response. So you need to match the market by tailoring the intended message to the sentiments and market conditions of a target group in the area that you operate. And then you also have to have a call to action, which can be either direct. So for example, call me now, or indirect, which is, something like look at my website to learn more, right? Both methods are effective as long as you're capturing the leads, however it's happening. So what could be an offer that would generate responses? Anyone have any ideas? Like, how do we get your phone to ring?
I'm sorry, you broke up. How do we what? How do we get what?
How do we get your phone to ring or generate responses? What sort of an offer do you think would generate responses? Think about maybe, say, in a text message or social media ad. Any ideas? So we've got a couple of ideas here. So something like maybe, this is an awesome house that just came on market. If you're looking at a home, looking for a home in this area, call me right away, right? So number 1, that should match your match your market, right? Like, this is an awesome house right here in your market, or a lot of times I'll call it our area or our neighborhood, right? Like, make them think that, we're all in this together. And then it says, call me right away, right? So that's the offer, or that's the immediate response that we're asking for. The call to action that we're asking for is to call me right away, right? Our second example is, do you know about prices of homes in your neighborhood or this area of town? I've got the report for you. Call, text, or visit my website to sign up, okay? So again, we're asking them about their market, their neighborhood, their area. And then our call to action, in this case, we're having an indirect call to action saying, visit my website and sign up for my service, or sign up for this service. So now let's discuss method. There's 2 primary methods of getting your message out to your target group: prospecting and marketing, which we covered earlier at the beginning of the lead generation segment. We are just simply going to cover additional prospecting sources today. Oh, come on. There we go. All right. Moving on to page 4 of your workbook. When you're truly on the hunt for leads, you'll find many opportunities. Let's say that you're at the coffee shop and you overhear a couple talking about an open house that they just visited. What would you do?
Well, for me, I would just walk right up to them and start talking. But I know for some people, that's kind of a put off, like, they're minding their own business there. And so I don't know if that's the right approach or not.
Absolutely. Yeah. Walk up to them and with a conversation starter, something like, I heard you talking about an open house. Are you looking for a home in this area? One thing that a friend of mine in Vegas does this at coffee shops all the time. He'll go to the coffee shop and once he's, done paying for his coffee and stuff, he'll tell the barista, he'll say, just hang on to my credit card. I want to pay for the next 5 people in line, and give them each one of my business cards. And then he'll just go over and sit there and watch, and she'll charge his card for the next 5 orders, right? And give them each one of, you know, his business cards. And inevitably, every single one of them walks over and thanks him. And he gets contact information from, he told me that he gets contact information from as many as 4 out of 5 people by doing that. I'm like, that's amazing, right? In a great way, and something that's really inexpensive. I mean, I understand that coffee's, you know, like $5 or $6, which is kind of mind-boggling, but still relatively inexpensive in the grand scheme of things. But yeah, you walk up to him and just start talking to him, right? I mean, if it's off-putting to him, it's off-putting to him. You apologize and turn around. I've done it before. Second, you're going to connect with the individual in a way that builds rapport and trust. Okay, so one of the best ways is with questions, and look for opportunities to be of service to them. Remember what we always say, like, what's in it for them, you know, with them, what's in it for me? That's what everybody's thinking is, you know, what's in it for me? So you're going to say something like, well, I've got a list of homes for sale in this area. I'd love to connect with you so that you can stay informed on, you know, what's coming on market, right? So you're giving them something of value. You're giving them a list of homes that's available to them. Finally, if appropriate, and the conversation leads to it, you ask for a meeting and you set the appointment. One of the ways, I'm sorry, I want to back up just a little bit. One of the ways, by the way, that you can really add rapport quickly to a conversation is this. If this is a market, if you're, say you're at the Starbucks by your house, and you know the Starbucks you know your neighborhood really well. You know what the average price point is. You know how many homes sold approximately last month, and you know what's happening in your market really well, which I always suggest knowing your market really well like this, because the average consumer is going to consider you a market expert if you can sit there in a conversation like that and rattle off 5 statistics. Right? So you're sitting there chatting with somebody and you're like, yeah, well, you know, I mean, in this home, the average homes or in this neighborhood, the average homes about, say, 2,000 square feet, and it's going for about, you know, $400,000 to $50,000. And last month, about 23 of them sold, right? And you just sit there and you rattle off some statistics. By the time you get to stat number 5, in their brain, they're going, this guy knows, you know, this person's an expert. They know exactly what they're talking about. So yeah, rattle off stats to build rapport. Also, one thing that's really important with rapport, and people realize this, is commonality is not the same as rapport. So if you start walking up to somebody and you're like, oh, hey, you know, like say I walk up to somebody and I'm like, oh, hey, you know, like you're some middle-aged guy buying a coffee just like me, right? Like, what's, you know, oh, you're wearing a black sweater. I'm wearing a black sweater. Hang on, I lost my mouse. I'm trying to let Manny in here. But yeah, so commonality is not, again, is not, oh shoot, guys, I'm sorry, is not the same as building rapport. Let me get my screen back up. All right, guys. Okay. Moving along. What, tell me what ahas you guys have had at this point. Anything?
I really like your friend's coffee shop idea, and I'm going to use that.
Yeah, nice. What else? Anything? All right. Moving along, we discussed prospecting versus marketing in earlier sessions, and today we're going to go just a little bit deeper into that. So lead generation is a contact sport with simple rules. It means making contact with people through prospecting and marketing. Now, we've all seen this chart before, right? And everyone knows that every lead that you have is somewhere on this graph, right? They're either moving now, they're super happy where they're at, or they're getting somewhere in the process of one of the two, right? So everybody you know is, somewhere nearing the top or bottom, and everyone's timelines and life experiences are different. It's your job to do your best to predict where they are at all times, which is, just as difficult as it sounds. So do you only prospect to leads that are on their way up? That is, moving towards buying? Well, no, every lead that you capture and build a relationship with is both a potential buyer and a potential seller at some point and more importantly, a potential referral source. So one of the things that I've learned through my career is that the average consumer has 6 opportunities a year to refer a real estate agent. So in other words, there's 6 times a year where most people are sitting, having lunch with their buddy or at the office or whatever. And somebody's like, yeah, I'm thinking about buying a house, or I'm thinking about this or that. And that person has the opportunity to say, oh, do you know a realtor? Because I've got, Jennifer, she's a great agent, right? Average person has 6 opportunities a year. And that's why even if somebody that just bought a house a few months ago with another agent or whatever, you still want to add them to your database and you still want to prospect to them because they're going to have those opportunities to refer other people to you. So who do we prospect to and when? It's a real simple answer. We prospect to everyone all the time. Okay, you saw this in session 5. We're now on page 5 of your workbook, by the way. So you saw this in session 5, and it's here again to remind you of the 2 methods for lead generating, prospecting and marketing, and that your business should always be prospecting based and marketing enhanced. So why do we say it should be prospecting based and marketing enhanced?
I would think you're prospecting to people and then you're basing the marketing on their specific needs or neighborhoods, or whether they're looking for a home for themselves or looking for a rental property.
Yeah. What else do we have? Okay, so here's what we're getting at. Prospecting is basically free. It's a cost of your time, and we all understand that all of our time has value, so it's not like free, right? It's more free. But that's all it costs is your time, right? Marketing's costing you money, and it's more of a wait and see method. So if you're going to start marketing, like if you're going to start farming and sending out postcards and that sort of stuff, right? Like that's something that you need to give about a year or 2 before you really start seeing a good return on investment. Not to say that you won't see any return on the first year, because I have generally, but it usually takes at least a year to like really start making a great return, right? And that's an area where we're doing more marketing and spending more money than we are prospecting. When we start prospecting and adding door knocking to our farming, and we start adding calling to our farming, and we start spending our time and building our name and our face in that market, right? That's when all of a sudden you're going to start getting deals and you're going to start getting into deals, right? In our last 2 sessions, talked about open houses and social media. Prospecting helps support awareness and lead generation around your open houses, and social media can be a prospecting tool as well for marketing. Okay, in page 6 of your workbook, you've got a list of prospecting sources from the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. My gosh, you guys, I'm sorry. So there's many prospecting sources to share your message through. Who's tried which of these sources? Like, has anyone tried any of this? And is anyone willing to share what your experiences have been? Oh, come on. So let me ask this question. What do you think is missing from the list? And can you tell me why you think it's missing? social media is missing from the list. And the reason that social media is missing from the list is because the current MREA is from 2002, right? So social media wasn't a big thing back in 2002. Having said that, each and every one of these models here still exists today. And that is really the lesson here, is that 20 years after MREA was written, each and every single one of these things still works today. How do you think it's best to approach prospecting? In other words, do you think it's best to select several sources at once, or is there a source that you think it's best to start out with and then follow through?
I mean, I would think starting out with one or two that you're most comfortable with, and just kind of get the hang of that before, trying to do everything at once.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So when Keller Williams surveyed its top agents, we found that they focus on like 2 to 4 sources, and that's it, right? So I can tell you, when I was out selling real estate, when I look at this list, oh, and keep in mind that, our SOI is always one of our sources, right? But when I look at this list and I think about, when I was out, hitting the pavement and selling real estate, I did things like door knocking, the community outreach type programs, and worked on key relationships, right? So those were my 3 things along with my SOI. And yeah, like I said, KW found that our top agents just simply, they find 4 sources that work for them, and that's where they focus their energy. The top sources for repeat referrals are, of course, our SOI or, database. Okay. So looking at this list, which would you consider pursuing? And for those of you that have your workbooks, go ahead and circle 2 or 3 that you are going to pursue. Keeping in mind that you already have your SOI, right? So you've already got one source for lead gen. So what do you think? Does anyone want to share what they're going to try?
Well, I mean, I live in an apartment complex, so I figure circle prospecting there would be a good start.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Look for buyers. Make sure that, you've got some lender information handy for them, because that's usually the first thing that, they're going to ask. But yeah, great plan.
You're talking about lender info. Are you talking about like having the info of your lender so you can kind of refer them to them, or just like what the rates?
Yeah. Never get yourself in a scenario where you're quoting interest rates or anything else like that, because you don't know their situation. And I mean, rates are so hard. It used to be really easy to know the rate. And rates, I mean, they fluctuate. There's so many variables now in how it's calculated that I don't even know how to do it. And I used to be a loan officer back in, the late 90s. So, so like I said, never really get into a rate conversation. If it's a quick conversation of, rates have been coming down, or rates are doing pretty good, or like just some general, like high level overview stuff like that, you're okay. But like, I wouldn't be like, oh yeah, you should probably be able to get 5.5 or something. I mean, I don't want to start having that conversation with people. Always, one of my favorite things that we always say is always be the source of the source, right? So in other words, be the person that people can come to, and you can point them in the right direction. So this session's about additional prospecting sources to think about and focus on. Here's a list of marketing sources for comparison. Right. So let's quickly read through the list. We've got, offline advertising, radio, TV, newspapers, personal vehicles, bus stops, magazine, billboard, yellow pages, grocery carts, and moving vans. We've got online advertising, pay-per-click SEO, social media, and portals. And then we've got, broadcast things like radio, TV, live social media, blogs. You've got direct mail, postcards, special events, just listed, just sold, quarterly market updates, promotional items or swag, public relations, news releases, advice columns, and then you've got, sponsorship type things. Anyone see anything missing on this? Again, I mean, we list social media, but it's not like huge. It's not as prevalent on here as it is today. You can quickly understand that marketing has related expenses, and like I said earlier, it's going to take longer to see results. There is a great little plug here for Command, and I think it is great that it does. It's an easy way to set up Facebook advertising for a very low cost, and you can learn more about Command at answers.kw.com. I will tell you again, this is my personal experience and personal experience from that some friends of mine have had within Command. The Facebook ads are really worth it. Like I at one point was not a big fan of online lead gen. I am becoming a bigger fan of it these days because I do think it's starting to work better. And I think Command is in their Facebook campaigns is one of the lead sources that's absolutely worth it, as long as you follow up with them. And you'll talk about that in future classes. Okay, so there's sources that use both prospecting and marketing. So for example, open houses, which covered in session 7. Today we're going to talk a little about geographic farming in a few slides, as well as seminars, events, and referrals. What common prospecting method do we use with open houses? So door knocking is the most common that we use with open houses, right? You go through before the open house and knock the neighborhood. Different agents have different philosophies. Like some will do 10 houses this way, then 10 houses that way. Whatever it is, you just you knock and you hit some houses before the open. Let them know that you're going to have an open, and then you invite the neighbors to the open house as well, and make sure when you do that you have a list of all the active listings in the neighborhood, and also make sure that you have a list of sold properties as well. And go back further than you think that you need to go back with your sold properties, because people forget time, right? Like they forget how long it takes, or how long ago something happened. So what I mean by that is this: a lot of times you're standing at a door talking to somebody, and they're saying, oh yeah, well, the Smith's house over there on Elm Street, that just sold for 500,000. And you've got your sold list there, and you're like, I don't see anything on Elm Street. What are you talking about? And they're like, what do you mean you don't? Of course, it just barely happened just a few months ago. And they look at it, and they are now not considering you a market expert because you don't know about their neighbor's house. The reality of the situation is that they don't realize that it wasn't just a month ago, it was more like a year ago that it sold. So again, and again, this unfortunately happens quite frequently. Sorry, I've got to let Melissa in real quick. All right. All right. So moving along. What part of your job as a real estate agent does this cover? Right, like door knocking and such, and that is lead gen. What ahas do we have to this point? Nobody? All righty. All right, let's talk about the gold mine of referrals. We're on page 7 of your workbook if you're following along. Many agents miss out on referrals, and yet they can be an easy, lucrative source of leads. Imagine if leads simply came to you as referrals from your sphere of friends, family, coworkers, and neighbors, right? I know that almost everybody here is fairly new, but a lot of you will learn that you're going to meet agents who you swear do no sort of prospecting at all because their phones are just always ringing and all they're doing is taking calls and listing houses and making sales, right? Does anyone know an agent like that? Does anyone have any examples of that?
Can you repeat that last part?
So do you know any agents that are just constantly taking phone calls and constantly making sales and you've never seen them really lead gen? It sure is.
So last Wednesday, Leslie had a meeting at the office and Adriana Murillo was in it. And yeah, she's been doing really great for the beginning of this first quarter, and she's been having essentially first time buyer seminars. And hearing her, tell everyone how it kind of panned out was just fascinating. And it was something where she started, with a dozen people and now has over 150 people at these seminars. I would say that the trade-off is that, being Latina, she is tapping into that Latino market, which, it's hard when you're, especially when you're a minority and you are possibly DACA or first generation American and you want to buy a home, but you don't know how to do it or where to start. So hearing her tap into that market was really insane. And, she's having these seminars once a month and she's blowing up like crazy.
Yeah.
So it was fascinating and it was super awesome to hear and just very insightful.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I know a lot of agents that do really well with first-time homebuyer seminars. And you're right, that Latino community is a great one to tap into if you're in there and you've got a foothold or you've already established your presence there. Absolutely, that's tap into your community, tap into your friends and family, tap into the people around you, because remember, this is the most important thing to keep in mind, you guys. Your friends and family want to help you. They want you to be successful, I promise you. So when you go to them and say, hey, can you help me? I'm looking for, do you know anybody looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? They want to help you, right? So yeah, tap into the communities and make the most of those relationships. They'll give you referrals, and referrals, you guys, are absolutely always your best lead source because you call them up and you're like, hey, this is Jameson at Keller Williams. Melissa told me to call you because you're looking to buy or sell your house, right? Now, all of a sudden, the person's going, oh, this is Melissa's friend. Yeah, okay. Yeah, you're the guy that I need to talk to, right? So yeah, you guys leverage those relationships. It's the smartest thing you'll do. Okay, so let's talk about the types of referrals and the systems to put into place to make the most of your referrals. So we're going to look at client referrals, agent-to-agent referrals. We're going to look at worldwide referrals, and we're going to look at one of my favorite, business-to-business referrals. Okay, so as mentioned earlier, top agents rely on their sphere and clients and their sphere and past clients as their greatest source of referrals. Some agents even say that 90% of their business comes from referrals, right? Like I was talking about before, who knows the agent who just sits around and answers their phone all day? I used to work with this guy named Gary Judd. Gary did an amazing business. And I remember one day I was standing up at the front desk talking to our receptionist, and she started complaining about Gary, and she said, he never works. And I said, what are you talking about? He never works. Look at the numbers. Look, I mean, he's working all the time. And she's like, he sits in his office and talks to his friends all day long. And then they just throw him real estate deals. So if that's working, I guess he works. And I'm like, if he's making money and supporting his family, then I'm not going to criticize how he's doing it, right? But it begins with setting expectations with your sphere, that your business runs on referrals and that you trust them to refer or to provide referrals of people that they know that have real estate needs, right? You think, oh, that's it. Well, not exactly. Once you set the expectation that you're looking for referrals and that you need help, then you have to provide value, right? Like you have to deserve the referral. That is, you have to be referable. Okay. Now, again, I know a lot of agents and I think of the world of a lot of agents. I know a lot of agents that I am not going to refer to anyone. I do not consider a lot of agents that I know referable. However, I do have a lot of friends, that are referable. So be referable. And the way that you be referable is to provide value and let them know that you are a market expert, right? Like I have a friend of mine in Salt Lake. He's a great agent and he can't get any referrals from his friends and family because his friends and family view him as the party guy. And now, like 6 months ago, this was our conversation. And now, right, because I told him, I said, well, like start giving people some home valuations, start talking to them about their house, their values, or stuff like that. Give them value, show them that you're doing business and so on. So he started doing it. And now he's like finally starting to get referrals. And all of a sudden he's not just like the party guy in his group. Now he's the real estate party guy in the group. So it's working, right? The relationship with your sphere has to be reciprocal. You provide value, thus they will trust you. They know the value that you provide, and they will refer their friends and family to you. And that value exchange back and forth never stops, right? So what are some ways that you can provide value besides the 3 listed on the slide? Okay, what if you're their problem solver, right? So again, you may not know the answer, but you're the source of the source, right? I have people that call me all the time and tell me that they need an insurance person, right? Which I understand that we have a vendor list on here as one of the options, but right, like I'm the source of the source. People call me. My aunt called me this morning and told me that when she had her basement finished, she didn't think that the guy pulled a permit, and is that required? And what does she need to do? Like, actually have done construction, but I'm not a builder, right? Like this is not my specialty. I'm like, I don't know if you need a permit. I've never lived in your city. I've never owned property in your city. I don't know what's required in your city. But you know what? I pointed her in the right direction, right? Like I found out what her actual problem was and I got her, to the person that she needed to go to, right? Because again, be the source of the source, right? So be the problem solver, help, and stay in there with your clients. Don't just point them in the right direction, help them out, follow up with them. Hey, I gave you the name and number for my plumber. How did that go? Right? Like that gives you another reason to call them, right? And every time you call them, you're keeping top of mind, okay? Next thing is provide elevated service. Provide better service than what every other real estate agent out there is providing, right? Talk to your clients weekly, right? Have conversations with your sellers every week. Have conversations with your buyers every week. Even if you're talking to your seller and saying, hey, we didn't have anybody walk through the house this week, at least have a conversation with them so that they know you're doing something, right? Like, I mean, don't just leave it at that. Tell them what you're going to do this coming week to get some people walking through the house. But even if that's all the conversation is, hey, we didn't have any activity, right? Like, communicate with your client. Do you guys realize that lack of communication is one of the #1 complaints that consumers have about their real estate agent? So communicate with your people regularly. They won't have that complaint about you. #1, you're providing elevated service compared to your to your competition, and you're, you know, again, it's an excuse to call and talk to them, right? Be caring and supportive. If someone's having a bad day, drive over to their house and give them a hug. Doesn't cost anything, costs your time, right? Go to Great Harvest and buy them a thing of the oatmeal chocolate chip cookies and go give them some cookies, right? Or a loaf of bread, or, you know, something, right? Be caring and supportive. You see them on Facebook and they're, you know, putting their kids' recital on Facebook, right? Like heart it, right? I talked to somebody the other day who's doing like a 555 program or something on social media, where you like 5 posts, comment on 5 posts, and direct message 5 people every day, right? Heart posts, tell people that you care about them. It's amazing how that one simple thing will really bring you top of mind. So, and getting, you know, referrals means that you have to ask for them, okay? Not just once, every time you connect, especially after you've provided value. I can't tell you how many times I've made a comment, you know, I've been having a conversation with somebody, and through the conversation, they've asked me about the real estate market, and I've been giving them stats and telling them what's happened, and, you know, making them see that I'm an expert and yada, 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 everything I told you to do. And at the end of the conversation, just as we're getting ready to hang up, I say, hey, by the way, I just closed a deal last week. I've got room in my pipeline for another 1 or 2 transactions. Who do you know that's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? And after, you know, a 5-minute, 10-minute long conversation where I've been giving them a bunch of real estate info, they all of a sudden go, oh, yeah, you know, my brother's trying to buy a house. Why don't you call him, right? And you're thinking, well, good thing I asked, or else I would have had this whole phone call and not gotten any leads out of it. So make sure you ask. So when's the best time to ask for a referral?
I think you just covered after providing something of value, right?
Yep. Whenever there's a moment when the client expresses gratitude or they're happy and excited, the next is at the consultation, you know, when you put property under contract, and of course at closing, right? Like, always ask for a referral when the buyer or seller is just absolutely giddy in love with you. Okay, so there's a few sample conversation starters in your participant guide. One of them is, my goal by the end of this transaction is for you to be so thrilled that you'll tell everyone about me. Next one is, who do you know that would like an experience like you've had? Next one is, if I provide a stellar experience, it would be the greatest gift if you refer me to your friends, family, and coworkers so I may provide them with the same experience. Do any of those 3 resonate with anyone?
I like the first one. That was probably the one that stood out the most to me.
Yeah. Is that a script that you can see working in, or I'm sorry, we're calling them talk tracks now, not scripts. Is that a talk track that you can see working into like your normal rapport and conversations with people?
For me, yes, it's simple, it's easy. You're also, you know, I want you to be so thrilled with what I'm doing for you that you'll have no problem recommending me. So it just comes off smoothly. And you're telling your goal is to have, you know, you're putting them first. You know, I want you to be so thrilled. You're letting them know that my goal is to help you first, and that you'll be so thrilled that you start sending everybody to me. It just seems simple and easy to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyone else want to share? Okay, so whenever you receive a referral, whether that referral turns into business or not, and this is really important, you guys, reward the behavior of providing the referral. Okay, this is a big mistake that a lot of agents get, or that a lot of agents make. They reward the referral at closing. Well, whoever referred the person to you has completely forgotten about it by now. You need to reward the behavior of them actually giving you the referral, because once they give you the referral, it's your job, whether you get it to closing or not as well, right? So we reward the behavior of providing a referral. Now, it doesn't have to be a huge reward. It can be a $5 Starbucks card. Or you can ask them, hey, can I buy you a cup of coffee to thank you for referring? And then you get another conversation and you might get another referral out of it as well, right? So it's not like you have to go out and spend a lot of money. It can be a thank you card if you don't have the money to spend on a Starbucks card, right? It doesn't have to be a lot, but it has to be something, okay? A lot of agents will track the people who provide referrals by marking them in their database and continuing to reward them throughout the relationship. So I know somebody in Salt Lake who gets a lot of business from business to business relationships. He deals with estate attorneys and divorce attorneys a lot. And he goes out and he hosts these great big dinner parties where he takes them all out to this really nice restaurant. I can't remember what it is, but anyway, he takes them all out to this really nice restaurant and spends a whole bunch of money on them, like once a quarter. And it's all these attorneys that are all in the estate planning and divorce world. So they all get to network with each other and all that stuff. And it's on the realtor's dime, right? That's rewarding them continually for providing him with the referrals. This guy incidentally closes 150 transactions a year by himself. A special handwritten note goes a long ways with your referring clients. Holding special events for your top referral sources is a reward. This, I understand, costs some money, and so it's something that you're going to want to look at, maybe later in your career. And you can learn more about gaining client referrals by viewing the session called Fill Your Funnel with Client Referrals in the series called No Ceiling, Level Up Your Lead Generation, which is available on KW Connect. Okay, so client referrals can also come from agents, right? So you already know some agents in your market. You know some agents in this class, and you're going to meet other agents from other brokerages while conducting business. Now, you might be asking yourself, why would another agent in my market refer a lead to me? Any ideas? So maybe there's an agent in your market center that's focused on listing and chooses to work exclusively with sellers and refers all their buyers out, right? A lot, there are people that do that. It's not common, but there are people, right? Buyers take more time, right? Like it's pretty easy to deal with, you can have 20 sellers or so and you can deal with them in a month. If you've got 6, 7 buyers, you're going crazy, right? So yeah, so buyers take more time. So some listing agents will focus on listing and buy referrals out. There's times where an agent may refer a client that's outside of the distance that they're willing to work. And depending on how busy the agent is and where they're at, that distance may be as short as 15 miles away. Like there could very easily be somebody in, say, downtown Portland, for example, that really doesn't want to leave the city and isn't willing to go to Wilsonville. You're in Portland, you're willing to go to Wilsonville. Okay, right? Like maybe you could, there might be some agents that'll, give you a referral that way. An agent might specialize in a particular price point, neighborhood, or type of home. So these are generally, at least my experience has been, I know some agents who specialize in luxury. And if it's not a luxury listing, they're not interested in it because that's just how their business is working. So if it's not a luxury listing, they'll refer it out to somebody else. Or, and this is the most common, maybe the agent's in another town or another state and has a seller who is moving to your area. Right? I've done a lot of referral business this way, right? I've dealt with a lot of relocation people and I've given a lot of referrals out and I've received a lot of referrals from out-of-state agents. So you want to make sure that you're keeping top of mind with agents also, so that they can think of you first when they need to refer somebody. Keep in mind that you're competing with other agents for their attention, and you should constantly be thinking of creative ways to stand out, be different, and be remembered. I will tell you the easiest thing to do with other agents is make them realize that you're doing business and that you know how to do business, because that's who they want. That's what makes you referable in an agent's mind. They want the transaction to close, right? When I refer a client out to another agent, I want that transaction to close. So I refer them to somebody who's going to get that buyer or seller to the closing table. A lot of KW agents, and I'm one of them that's done this, have built their business with referrals, and you can too with a system. So this is how agent referrals work. When an agent refers a client to you, you agree to pay that agent a certain percentage of the commission, and vice versa. When you refer a client to another agent, they agree to pay a certain percentage back to you. Referring clients that you can't serve to other agents helps everybody, you, the client, and the agent, right? Okay, so let's take a quick look at our agent-to-agent referral model here. Grow. We begin by growing an agent referral network. You need to keep track of every agent that you meet throughout the course of your business. Reach out to agents in other cities, states, especially from locations where people are moving from, right? So I will tell you what I did. When I was in Salt Lake City, I looked at the US Census Bureau, and I found that the majority of people migrating into Utah were coming from Clark County, Nevada. I mean, state-wise, it was California. It's always the state of California, but county by county, it was Clark County, Nevada, which is where Las Vegas is. That was great for me because I was also licensed in Las Vegas at the time. So I was able to get a list of all the agents in Las Vegas, which is pretty easy to get realtor lists if you really want them, especially within KW. You can go to the KW white pages and just find other agents, in another market. So I went and I got this list of 10,000 Las Vegas agents, and I loaded all these agents into my CRM. And once a month, I sent them an email saying, hey, do you know somebody moving to Salt Lake City? Because I'm your 30% referral partner. And I would offer 30%, which is a little bit higher than the industry standard. And that's all I would do. And I'm not kidding you, I got about 6 to 8 deals a year consistently from that. So yeah, so grow. Like, reach out to agents, find them. You can do this on KW's website, through the white pages, right? Again, get the best areas. Then manage, systematize your agent referral network by being purposeful about it. Just as with leads and contacts, build relationships and provide value. Make it reciprocal. They provide you referrals and you provide referrals to them. Another good way to find referral partners is social media, especially because we are part of Keller Williams, and Keller Williams has a whole lot of communities out there on Facebook. I don't care why they've got communities like just based on anything you can possibly think of, right? There's communities that are just simply agent referral communities out there, right? So go onto Facebook and find, and get yourself in some of these referral community groups and meet agents, right? Start looking for leads. You'll find it, start looking for referrals. You'll find them. And then maintain, right? Again, keep your network up to date and stay in communication with network partners. Track all your referrals going out and coming in. So tell me, what suggestions do you guys have, or what ahas or ideas do you have as far as agent to agent referrals?
I just have a quick question. When you talked about how you did your agent to agent referral, and you said you loaded them into your CRM. Is that just your database? Is that something?
Database. Yeah. Sorry. Yes, I need to be consistent. Yes. A CRM stands for contact or customer relation management. It's the old term for database. I don't think it's used anymore by people that are younger than me. So, but yeah, no, CRM's the same as database.
Okay, so you could put it in there like in command and
Mhm.
kind of keep them
Yep.
separate from your, these are your referral agents, and then you kind of keep them separate from your contacts and your leads.
Yep. That is exactly what I would do. Is I would use tags to keep everybody, where I wanted them, so I was sending the right stuff to the right groups. Now there is an easy to use agent referral network on command. This allows you to find and connect with agents based on location and production. You can even discover referral patterns showing where referrals are coming and going to. In addition, you can easily track referrals given or received all the way to closing and getting paid, which again, I can attest to. This works because I've done it. Other great sources for finding information about where people are coming from to get into your market and going from your market are the census and the IRS. The US Census tracks this as domestic migration. Like I was saying before, I use the Census Bureau to find out, where the most people were coming from. And then the IRS tracks migration by seeing how address changes on individual tax returns. This data is easily found on both their websites. Okay, let's talk about worldwide referrals. Did you know that as of last year, we as Keller Williams had a presence in 50 plus regions, including the United States and Canada? And did you know that agents in our worldwide regions can be referral partners as well? So if you know somebody, I don't care what part of the world they're in, we can help them find a real estate agent and you can make referral money. Think about the connections that you have with countries outside your own, right? Do you have friends or family that have connections elsewhere? Let's say that you have a client who decides to sell their home and move to Puerto Rico for retirement. Instead of leaving your client to find an agent in Puerto Rico on their own, you can very easily just look up KW agents in that area and refer your client to them. It's a win-win. It's a win for you. It's a win for the other agent. And it's especially a win for the client because the client doesn't know a realtor anyway, so they have to find somebody. Yes, Jennifer, were you raising your hand?
Yes. How about Italy? Do you guys have agents there?
Yes, I believe Italy is one of our countries as well, but you can certainly go into our referral website and track that down. Yeah.
Oh, because I'm not sure exactly 100%, but my sister probably soon look to sell a house. So.
Sweet. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Italy's one of our countries. But yeah, we can, absolutely check it out online.
Sounds good.
Think about this, and let me tell you guys another tip, because you're all now independent contractors. That means you all have expenses that you can write off. So think about this. Next time you travel outside of the United States, as part of your trip, you drop by a Keller Williams office and pass out some business cards and ask for agent-to-agent referrals. And now all of a sudden, a portion of your trip's a write-off, right? Because now it's a business expense, right? Like now it's part of your prospecting, right? So a friend of mine, she went to South Africa a couple of years ago and agreed to speak at a KW Market Center down there. She wrote off her airfare from Salt Lake City to South Africa both ways because, well, she had to get there for the speaking gig. And then she wrote off, like 3 nights of her hotel room, and the rest of it we should use taxable income for. So just some ideas to, number one, help grow your business, and number two, save you a little bit of money on taxes at the same time, right? Like this is a win-win for you. Now let's talk about business to business referrals. I love B2B referrals, you guys. I love them. Raise your hand or give me a thumbs up or something if you've ever recommended any of the following to your friends: hairdresser, dentist, doctor, vet, accountant, financial planner, auto repair, handyman, plumber, electrician, gardener, landscaper. Any of that? Yeah. So you're referring your friends and your acquaintances and your family members to the businesses that you have come to know, respect, and trust, right?
Love this, have her go to Hatcher.
Well, this is a one-way referral. So let's make it reciprocal. You need to start going out to these businesses that you're referring people to, talking
Okay.
to the owner, the managers, and discussing how you can help each other, right?
Okay.
You can refer clients to their business and they can refer buyers back to you, you know? So for example, right, like maybe you go to your local
Well,
dentist
Adriel
and you
wouldn't even
say,
return the
hey,
doctor's phone call.
I can refer people to you.
So we were
And
going
when
in
you
from
get,
Home
say,
Depot up
a new
from the
client that just moves
procedure
into
pad in
town,
December.
if they're looking for a realtor, you know, if they need to buy a
And
house, you
we
refer them
wouldn't
back
even
to,
return
you know,
the
you
doctor's
refer
phone
others
at
back
all.
to me. Okay, business owners that refer clients to you,
answer,
for
wouldn't
example, a
return the
handyman
call.
that you often referred is hired by a person who's fixing their house in preparation for listing it to sell,
And then
right?
and
Handyman tells you, handyman lets you know, and then you connect with this potential seller. So I have a friend, again, in Salt Lake, who owns a carpet cleaning business. And he's owned this business since he was in college, right? He's my age. He's like 45, maybe he's old, like 50-ish, right? So he's on this carpet cleaning business for, you know, something like 30 years now. And the way that he got into real estate was he'd be cleaning people's carpets and he'd just casually ask, right? Like, what made you want your carpets cleaned, right? They don't look bad. They don't really look like they need it. And a lot of people say, oh, we're thinking about listing our home, you know, or we're going to sell our house or whatever. So he all of a sudden realized, well, shoot, if I have my real estate license, my next question could be, do you need an agent? So he went out and got his real estate license, and now he doesn't clean carpet anymore, but he still owns the business. And he goes and he gets the people set up at the house cleaning the carpet, and he talks to the owner while they're cleaning the carpet and gets referrals. And he's focused on his real estate business, right? It's easy to get this started, right? So if you turn to your participant guide and write down the businesses that you'd like to connect with.
Yep.
And let them know that you're a real estate agent and that you would like to help them with your business. Everyone have a few ideas? Okay, so we talked about client referrals, agent referrals, worldwide referrals, and business referrals. What are our ahas about referrals when it comes to lead
She's
generation?
the one that does the dementia.
I liked your agent to agent referral where I think you said you email about once a month asking for people to move into the area and saying you're their 30% referral agent. So
Yep.
a little bit more, it's a little bit more than what the standard is. So I'm sure. And like you said, I think you said you want 6 to 8 deals out of that a year. So
yeah,
I'm going to use that. I'm going to make that mine.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. What other ahas do we have? Yeah, Jennifer.
Does Keller Williams connect with relocations? Like, for example, Intel have a relocation company they work with. Like, do Keller Williams work with those?
Yes.
Grant
So
Long.
Because I
there's
contacted them once
They
and they
changed their
said
name.
it depends on the company you work with
I can't remember what it is.
if they work with that. Like, that's what they told me.
Yeah. Yeah. So depending on what company
That
it
was the
is.
physical
Some
therapist.
companies have
That they have a. it was
relationships
covered by
established
Milton, but
that
it's
they
something else.
have to use certain companies, that they have to refer to certain companies. So for example, I have a friend who's over at Coldwell Banker, and Coldwell Banker has a relationship with, I want to say, like Home Depot or like a few companies like that. And they have to refer people that are getting relocated to this Coldwell Banker program. So there are some ins like that. And I believe KW has well, I know we have a relocation community. I don't know if there's leads available to it or not, but you can find the community information on KW Connect. Yes, but for the most part, what most agents do is they just go to companies and talk to the HR people and ask, right? Like, who, do you have oh shoot, I'm sorry, I accidentally hit stop sharing again. But they ask, do you have who do you refer people to when somebody's relocating? So as an example, in my market center, we've got a agent who, her husband's business is moving a whole bunch of people to their from here locally in Oregon to their Texas facility. And so, yeah, I mean, she just went to the HR person and said, hey, what's going on? And the HR person went, oh my goodness, thank you so much for reminding me that you're a realtor. I have so many people ask me for realtors. Yes, I will send you people, right? So again, people want to help you.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. What other ahas? All right, so earlier we talked about all the different prospecting sources, right? As well as those sources that combine prospecting and marketing. So now we're going to cover geographic farming events and seminars. So geographic farming. Many agents choose to focus their prospecting and marketing efforts in the neighborhood or set of neighborhoods, which is also known as a targeted geographic farm. And by the way, we're on page 10 of your workbook. If you guys are paying attention to the workbook, is everyone familiar with the neighborhood website called Nextdoor? If you are, a geographic farm is similar in that it's easily targeting, it's an essentially targeted messaging within a neighborhood. When you choose to farm a neighborhood, be aware that it will not yield immediate results. That lead source is more of a long game, like I was talking about before, and you must be committed to keep working on your farm once you begin. Otherwise, all your hard work goes away and you have to start over. Choosing a farm involves some considerations, such as the number of houses and the turnover rate. Price point and several competing agents in the area may also affect your decision. Once you've chosen a farming area, you're going to devote yourself to knowing everything about the area, the history, the growth, the happenings, and more. You're going to become a part of the community, and the people recognize you as part of their community, right? You're also going to get committed to staying in communication with the residents and keeping them informed of everything that's happening within their area. So, when you're farming, you want to be out door knocking and you want to be out meeting the neighbors and getting to know the neighborhood, right? You want them to be looking at you, as you're walking down the street and, hey, hey, it's my local realtor, right? Like, you really need to get to know the community and do, host parties for them, host events for them. I've got a buddy of mine in Vegas that he goes to his farm every year and takes these great big massive barbecues and like sits there and grills burgers and hot dogs and throws these great big community barbecues over at their little community park area, right? And everyone knows him, right? Like, David Squire's the guy to sell your house in this neighborhood. Everybody knows David. So yeah, so what are some ways that you can maximize prospecting and marketing efforts within a geographical farm area? Think back to the lessons from open houses and social media and consider your daily success system with conversations adding contacts to your database, and sending handwritten notes. How can you make it all work within a geographic farm? Any ideas? Okay, so you're gonna the first thing you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna come up with a plan, right? Like start with just a few houses, and this can be where you live, near where you live, where you'd like to live, maybe the area you grew up in. You might consider what you can handle for the long run as far as proximity, size, and cost, right? It's really easy to overcommit to a too big of an area. Door knocking is the key to farming. Like I said before, you're going to visit the neighbors and introduce yourself as the resourceful agent. Don't be pushy, right? Come from contribution and always offer something of value. Did you know that homes in our neighborhood are selling in less than 30 days, right? Like that's if that's happening in that neighborhood right now, that's a great thing to say. That home over there on Mayberry just sold for $350,000. That means home values are going up, right? You know, offer vendor referrals, going door to door. Hey, my clients like to use, this cleaning company. I've got other clients that like to use, ABC Lawn Care. General info on the areas such as new construction, future construction, road changes, changes in building code, permits, etc. Set up a discount with a local vendor. This is a big one. If you can get a local vendor to give you discounts, right? Like for maybe neighborhood tree trimming or dryer vent cleaning or whatever, you're giving them something of value because you're giving them a discount. It's not costing you anything other than whatever you're, like if you're printing on, whatever your printing costs are, right? So it's a negligible, cost to you, and they're getting a service, right? So it's a win-win for you. Set up a neighborhood food drive where you go around and pick up everything for delivery, right? Like I've done that before, and I've gotten huge success. Okay, so here's how I did that. I went out into my neighborhood and I went and I bought a whole bunch of the, went to the dollar store and bought, a big box of the grocery sacks, right? The thank you bags. And then I went door to door and I had this, little piece of paper saying, hey, we're collecting for, this food drive or clothing drive. I can't remember what we were doing. But hey, we're collecting for this. Oh, and by the way, I sell real estate. This is my name and number. And then I'd say, if you have donations, call, text or email me and let me know that they're going to be available. I'm going through your neighborhood on this day at this time, right? And guess what? All of a sudden I started getting leads texting me, right? People are texting me, hey, Jameson, I'll leave a bag out for you. I live at 1649 Dart Drive. Now I got their phone number. I've got their address. I can go on my title company's website and find out who the owner of the house is. So now I have their name, right? Like 3 of my 4 pieces of contact info I've already got, and we're all doing something good for the community at the same time. Okay, door knocking is useful for notifying neighbors of upcoming open houses, just listed houses, just sold houses, and looking for listings or interested buyers. Door knocking is great for charity drives, like I was just talking about, upcoming community events, community activities, and neighborhood watch or neighborhood cleanups, right? Like there's an agent in, I think he's in upstate New York, who does all of his lead gen by organizing a neighborhood watch, right? Like he's now, I mean, like apparently he's known in his region as the neighborhood watch person, right? So like all these neighborhood watches are, they all these people know him. But yeah, that's how he gets all of his leads, is just by being the guy in the community that makes the neighborhood watch programs run. So, you guys can do the same thing. There's so many fun ways to do this business. Always keep safety in mind though, in all that you're doing, right? Like perhaps if you're going to go door knocking, do it with a fellow agent in your farm. And then, like, hey, if you'll go door knock my farm with me, I'll go door knock my farm with you. maybe a spouse, a partner, or friend is willing to go and just hang out in the car and watch you, or maybe partner with your lender, right? I will tell you that I have a lender that will always go door knocking with people. Oh, missed that slide, sorry. Moving on to page 11 in your workbook. Events and seminars, the two final sources of leads that we're going to talk about today. You might not be prepared. However, I will tell you, events and seminars can be very, very, very lucrative, right, Melissa? Actually, say right, Dana, right? Like Dana will tell you. Melissa's not paying attention to me.
Dana walked out of the room. How's it going?
Yeah, see, okay, but yeah, aren't events and seminars a great way for prospecting for your team?
Yes.
Yeah, events are get-togethers. Yes, events are get-togethers organized or hosted by you. Successful agents are very creative when it comes to events. Events are meant to attract leads and don't have to relate directly to real estate. So here's some good ideas. Neighborhood park cleanup, right? Where you ask people to join you and help you clean the park. This is a really really inexpensive and easy to do event, right? Because you're going to supply the garbage bags, right? Like, so again, you go buy those, go to the dollar store and you buy those little cheap plastic bags. You're going to supply them with some, latex gloves, and you're going to have some bottled water, right? And then, you get people to come, help you clean the park up. You ask for addresses so you can send thank you cards. And you got their name, their address. You're probably going to get their phone number out of it at some point, right? Like, should get an email. Next event is you can do family front porch photos. So you set up dates and times with those who chose to participate. You take the photos and then you text them the photo or send it to their email. And boom, you've got enough contact information to put in your database, right? Virtual game nights, invite via social media, collect names and contact information, right? So something that you can do for fun. What other low cost ideas can we think of when it comes to events? Anyone have any ideas?
I have millions, but I don't want to take over.
Give me an idea.
Door knock a neighborhood, leave sidewalk chalk with a little note, and then
Yeah.
have them submit, post pictures on social media with a specific hashtag, and then you can have a drawing
Yep.
and tag the business in it. There's, wine tasting. For a small
Wine
group.
tasting. Hold on, wine tasting can get expensive though.
If you do it on a small scale, though, if you invite,
Well, yeah, okay.
Yeah. so say you invite 5 friends and ask them to bring someone that you don't know, that they think you'll get along with, and now you've got 5 new people, and you get their email and their phone number, and then you send them an invite. Now you have their contact information.
Yep. Exactly right. Other things that you can do is say, organize a class, right? Like maybe organize a self-defense class. Organize, right? Like find somebody, like if you're going to organize a self-defense class, like find somebody who teaches self-defense who would be willing to come to your market center and put a class on, and you can invite, people to the class, right? And this person can pitch their business and do their thing and give a little, self-defense info, and you are, hosting an event and potentially getting, leads and referrals out of it. Any other ideas?
So going back to what you just said about self-defense class, I was actually just in touch with a Krav Maga instructor the other day. And I
Mhm.
mentioned to them that I was going to be bringing youth, to attend a class.
Mhm.
The idea also is to invite the parents of the youth. So what would you suggest that I do so that it's going to be like, it's not like I'm doing the event specifically to promote the business, but just to get together, and then maybe later on we could talk about real estate once they know that I'm in the business. It's like, how would you do it
So,
discreetly?
so you're asking like how I would follow up with that? So I would, I mean, at the event, I would be, obviously they're networking, talking to everybody.
Uh-huh.
I would be interjecting real estate as much as I could when it's appropriate, right? And I mean, don't be afraid to casually ask, who do you know that's looking to buy or sell, right? Like, who do you know
Okay.
that's looking to make a move, right? But on the same note, don't really expect any referrals either at the event,
Uh-huh.
right? And then after the event, you can follow up with them and, hey, thanks for coming out. And chat with them a little bit. And then you ask them a second time, oh, and by the way, remember, because most people are going to say, when you ask them for a referral, the common answer is, well, I don't know anybody right now, but I'll think about it, right? Like I'll think about it, or I'll keep you in mind, or whatever, right? So, and by the way, how many times have you had this happen where somebody, where you've later, like maybe at night, you're, eating dinner, or, you get home from work or going to bed or whatever, and all of a sudden you think to yourself, oh, shoot, I should have mentioned to so-and-so when I was talking to him today that this person needs insurance, or this person needs their, whatever service that person has, right? And you're always going to think of the referral later, right? So this is a perfect opportunity for you to call them back and say, hey, just wanted to thank you for coming out to our event the other day. Did you have a good time? Great, I'm glad to hear that, right? Like, hey, by the way, did you have a minute to think about anybody that you might know that's looking to buy, buy or sell real estate? Oh, your brother, that's awesome, right? Like, and then you move into collecting the referral again with that follow-up phone call after the event. You can do that too, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, don't if you're going to host an event, use it as leverage. Use before the event as a reason to call, use after the event as a reason to call, right? Like get the biggest bang for your dollar.
Yeah.
So, okay, so let's move along and talk about seminars. So seminars are a great lead gen source as well, right? Like, okay, so you're immediately seen as an expert, right? So you can, like we were talking about before, just start offering first-time homebuyer seminars, and you're going to immediately start getting business from it. There's a ready-to-go seminar material in Connect under KWU. And my question to you all is, who is going to seriously consider events or seminars as a lead source method? Nobody? Seminars is a great way to diversify your database while you expand it. There's a lot of underserved communities in every region. We were kind of talking about that a little bit before with the Latino community. What if you intentionally learn about those communities' needs and set up seminars to help serve them? We have innumerable examples of agents who built their businesses helping those that no one else is willing to serve to become homeowners and investments. So for example, an agent, this example is very, very similar to what we've been talking about today. So an agent's fluent in Spanish and started homebuyer seminars with Spanish-speaking title people and lenders to teach people about home buying and how it works and built a large business for everyone involved with upwards of 30 people coming to their seminars, within a 2-month period. So think about that. More than 30, this particular agent's been getting more than 30 people ready and willing to sign up for their class that just need help figuring out how to be home buyers, right? And all of this was generated through, Facebook and online word of mouth resources. All right. So remember that leads are everywhere. Do not discount them. Learn to love hunting for leads. Your business, and more importantly, your wallet, your bank account, is going to thank you, right? So let's look at this list when we say leads are everywhere. Grocery store, coffee shop, repair shop, hair salon, dentist office, literally wherever you go, right? Like I've used examples of coffee shops, right? Like we've talked about ways through here of coffee shops. I have a friend of mine who does their lead gen at Costco, right? He goes shopping at Costco once a week, and he is not allowed, like in his mind, he tells himself that he is not allowed to leave the store until he's handed out 10 business cards. And he's the type of person that will walk up to you in Costco and be like, oh, I see you're buying olive oil. I like olive oil too. I use it to, when I'm sauteing chicken, and I buy my frozen chicken down at this and blah, 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 blah. And he like starts having these conversations with the people about the stupid bottle of olive oil. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, dude. And before you know it, he's handing them a business card. Next thing you know, they're looking at houses the next day. And I'm going, why can't I do that? Right? So yeah, lead sources are everywhere. What ahas are we having, you guys?
For me, it's just always being in the mindset of generating leads. Like I've been in sales a long time, but the leads are already provided. And so my job was just to close it, where this is a different type of business. So the mindset, like whether you're in Costco, like your friend, or whether you're at the coffee shop, to just always have that at the forefront of my mind.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. Okay, so you've heard it already, but it bears repeating: capture every lead. Okay, so part of our daily success system is to add contacts to your database. Your sphere and contacts are your focus. However, you'll also need to add leads to your database, because as you learned earlier, you will eventually be building relationship with your leads and then moving them to the status of contacts. Who can remind us of the difference between a lead and a contact? So leads are people that you have at least a one-way conversation with, right? So people that you're communicating to, people you're talking to, right? So I put you in my database and I send you my monthly newsletter, right? Like you're a lead, right? Contacts are people that you have permission to have a two-way conversation with, right? Whom you've established a value relationship, somebody who's responded to your newsletter, or somebody who you've talked to on the phone, right? So you put leads in your database as soon as you can, and that helps you keep track of them and allows you to stay in communication with them. There's help for adding leads and contacts to, if you need help, for adding leads and contacts to Command, you can go to the Command Your Business course at answers.kw.com and search for Ignite Reference Manual. Okay, let's talk about a lead gen plan. This is our final lesson, and we're on page 12. Before we close out this very important segment and topic, let's take some time to generate your personal lead generation plan. You're going to have time to think over all aspects of the lead generation that we've covered and build a plan that you can execute on. Okay, so let's look at this slide. Your lead generation plan. You need to do things like connect with your sphere. You need to build and feed your database, capture leads from open houses, build community with social media and capture more leads, execute a referral strategy, choose a geographic area to focus your door knocking efforts, consider events and seminars. So why don't you look at this list and maybe make a little check mark by the things that, to indicate that you're going to take action on these source/activities of lead generation. Like we said before, everybody should have a sphere and database checked and choose their last two sources based on strengths and interests. And now that you've done that, I want you to make sure, if you're using an accountability partner, that you share these with your accountability partner and ask them to hold you accountable to your tasks and deadlines. So as we wrap up our day and transition to creating our lead gen plans, does anyone have any ahas in what we've covered thus far? We'll talk real quick. So message and method, approach, connect, ask. We've talked about prospecting versus marketing. We've talked about referrals. You can get them, client referrals, agent to agent, worldwide, and business referrals. We talked about geographic farming. We talked about events and seminars. Any ahas in any of that we haven't already discussed? So this is the last session in the lead generation segment. Next time you're going to transition to lead follow-up. So to get ready to act on our objectives, you need to gain a deeper understanding of how to create and disseminate lead generating messages and be able to expand your referral strategies. Now it's time to take action. So when you leave today, I want you to generate leads from a minimum of 4 sources, right? So how's your mindset? Is everyone ready to run out and start generating leads? Do we have any concerns about anything we learned today? Well, all right, so that pretty much wraps it up. You should be able to finish your lead generation plan at this point and make a commitment to yourself and your accountability partner to act upon it. As you know, each day in Ignite, you'll grow in how you think, feel, act, and implement what you've learned from learning and ahas. You move forward to the achievements of your big life. And that's what we're here for, right? Is to achieve our big goals. So take a little bit of time, open your participant guide or look in your participant guide, sorry, and take a little bit of time to write some notes, take some time to reflect on what we've learned. It's important to building your confidence and then celebrate your growth, right? Like we do this activity after each learning lesson so that you can keep track of your learning journey. And now as we move into the most important part, we're going to close out the day and you guys are going to take off and go do lead gen, right? Say,
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks, everyone. I appreciate you taking the
Thank you
time.
so much.
Yes,
Thank you
A lot of
very,
good
very
info.
much.
A lot of good info.
Yeah,
A
absolutely.
lot of
Thank you,
information.
guys.
We really appreciate. Thank you so much.
Sure, absolutely. And if you ever have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I think you
What's
all
your
got-
number or how can I reach you?
Okay, my cell number is 702-461-0151.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yep, absolutely.
That was
And your name?
0154.
What's that?
That was 0154.
0151. I just put it in the chat.
Got it.
And the name again? Sorry, we've been talking so long.
Jameson.
James?
Jameson. Jamison. I put that in the chat also.
J-A-M? Okay, thank you.
Yeah. I put it in the chat for you. All right,
I don't
guys.
see it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Did you get it?
No.
That's weird. It says I sent it to everybody.
I see it posted.
Yeah.
Why do not?
Let's try it again.
Weird.
How about now?
Okay. Yes,
Now you
now
see
I
it?
saw. Thank you. Yes.
You're welcome.
Oh, Jameson,
Yes.
just a couple of quick questions. Just
Okay.
clarification. You mentioned that you gave 30% commission on a agent to agent referral.
Uh-huh.
What's the usual and customary commission? Is it 25%?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Typically it's 25%. I mean, it's one of those things where there's no real rule, right?
Yeah.
Like it's whatever you want it to be and whatever you negotiate with the other agent. So I'll give you an example. When I moved here from Salt Lake,
Uh-huh.
I had transactions in process in Salt Lake, right?
Yeah.
And so I set up a referral arrangement with a friend of mine there who's an agent, where some transactions I gave him a 50% referral fee, and some transactions I gave him a 75% referral fee because he's doing more work than I am, right?
Uh-huh.
And then in some situations, I'm giving him just a 25% referral fee. And it's all based on, you know, where the transaction was, because there's no standard and you can do it however you want.
Yeah.
I've always taken the mindset in my business, and this is just my personal business philosophy, that I want to give more than I take.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
So I want to give you 30% of my commission when I close the deal. However, when I send you a referral and you close the deal, I'm only going to take 25% of it because I want you, right? Like I want you to get that 75%. So that's always been my mentality, is that I offer 30 and I ask for 25.
Okay. And then you mentioned about let's see, reward the people who are giving you referrals. What's again, what's the usual and customary? That way you don't get in trouble with like IRS or somebody if they don't have any license.
Okay. So so this is one of the reasons that we're also rewarding for the referral and not rewarding for the closed transaction. Because if you're rewarding for a closed transaction, then you're paying a referral fee, and that could possibly not be allowed by the state.
Yeah.
But if you're simply, you know, taking your friend a coffee or buying your friend a coffee cart or something like that, because they gave your name and number to another friend of theirs, and that may or may not turn into a transaction, that's a little bit of a different story. And there's really nothing typical there. It's like I said before, it can be a $5, you know, Starbucks card or something like that. It can be a $1 handwritten thank you card.
Okay.
Right? Like it doesn't have to be anything major. You just have to make sure that you thank them and that you're rewarding the behavior of giving you the referral, not rewarding the behavior of you closing a deal after they give you a referral. And that's the mistake that most people make, is they wait till the deal closes and then they go back and say, oh, thank you so much, blah, 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 blah. And by this point, they've completely forgotten that they referred you out, right? Like, I mean, they're like, oh gosh, that was a month ago. I totally forgot about that conversation, right? But if you go back to them immediately afterwards, you know, a few days or a week or something afterwards, and you're like, hey, thank you so much. That really made a difference to me. That's making them feel good, right? Because now they realize that they did you a favor and you're grateful for that favor that they did.
Okay. All
right.
Okay. Thanks, Jameson.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other questions?
No, that's it for me.
Anyone else have anything? All right, everybody. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Okay. Bye-bye.